Hey guys, welcome in this new video. I hope that all of you are doing great. So in today's video, we are continuing on the trade breakdown series with a trade that I closed today on Euro USD. So just before we start, as always, if you could just please leave a like under the video, I would truly appreciate it. So like I said, today we are taking a look at a trade that I took a few days ago on Euro USD and that I closed today. So here is the screenshot of the profits that I made. So as you saw, this was a really good trade. I made over $750 profits, and at first it was more of a mid-term trade, and at the end it became more of a short-term trade because it basically lasted 2 days. So it was not a really long-term trade, but it was still a good trade. And today we will see, well, everything as I always share with you guys. So the entry, the stop, the target, my analysis, why I closed the trade, and all of those things. So most of you probably know, but today there were a lot of news on the financial markets, especially the Federal Reserve in the United States that basically increased the interest rate in the US. So that news actually triggered a lot of movements and a lot of volatility on the market, which is what we will see later on the screens. But that is basically the reason why I closed the trade. Not only that, but, and you will see it once again on the screen, but this was basically part of the reason and what actually made me took off the trade with along of my analysis. So enough talking, let's jump on my chart and I will show you all of that. Okay, so we are now on my chart and let's take a look at this Euro USD trade. So as you guys saw, well, with this candle, basically that is what happened a few hours ago when the news of the Federal Reserve dropped and that we saw the hike in the interest rate. So before talking about this more in details, let's talk about the trade in itself. So once again, where was my entry, my stop, my target, my analysis, all of those things. So as we always do, let's start on the higher time frame. So on the higher time frame, what we had, and I'll basically start at the beginning of the week to show you guys my where my mind was and my expectations for that trade and all of those things. So basically what we had at the beginning of the week was this impulse 1, 2, 3 correction here. We were back around those levels. It could have gone a little lower, but it basically just ended up staying there and went back up after. And so my first target, as you can see, was right above there. So I was expecting another wave up, which we kind of got because that wave is probably not complete, even if it could be. But we actually at least got some upside here, as you can see. So that was for the long-term forecast. I was expecting one more up. Once again, there are many reasons for that. It could even have gone much higher to come back around these stops right here. So there are, like I just said, many reasons for that. Here I'm just giving you guys the overall view of what I was looking for and trying to give you some tips along the way. But if you would like to get more information about how I trade, work with me as well directly, and just join our community, then you just have to check the first link in the description box below, and it will bring you over to my website, which is where you will find all the information considering the course. So to get back to the chart in itself, now let's go on the lower time frame and see what we had. So on the lower time frame here, we see the chart a little better. So we have the impulse as the first wave. We have the second wave here that is probably complete. It could also develop into a bigger second wave. We will see that probably by tomorrow, whether it develops into a second bigger wave or not. But as it stands right now, it could also be complete. And so what I saw basically on Sunday, and that was forecast in the weekly review as well for Reversal Master. But as we saw on Sunday, we had this impulse, this nice 1, 2, 3 here, contracting flat, and then at the low right here, we actually got a nice reversal. And so we got this first impulse, and here it's a little hard to see, but this actually is a valid and complete pattern correction. So when we broke out of that correction, this is when I took the trade. So the entry overall was really great. I mean, I could not manage this entry better. Even like looking back at the trade right now, it was a perfect entry. My stop was under this low right here. Now there are many reasons why that is. One of them is that putting the stop only under the correction would have been way too close, because there's always that possibility of developing into a bigger correction. So I wanted to let some room for the downside, but basically, as I just said, my stop was under the low, so around this level right here. Now my target was way above, so that was my first target, and like I showed before on the weekly, we even had possibilities of going much higher. So that was the overall view of the trade in itself. Now that was the entry. After that, well, it just took off and went upside as predicted. We made another correction here, which could have also been a nice buy setup if you actually saw the breakout when it was happening. So we got this impulse, we got this correction, another up. We got a down move here, and we continued upside after. So that was basically what happened today on the market. We got some upside, and then with the news, well, everything went back down. So I will show you now where I exited the trade, because we saw the entry, we saw the stop, the target, the analysis. Yeah, I'm trying to not forget anything to show you guys. So now let's see why and where I closed the trade. So I was very I was looking very carefully that trade, because like I just said, well, I knew that at 2 p.m. Eastern time we had the Federal Reserve news that would happen, and I know that news oftentimes creates a lot of volatility on the market. So I had to be in front of the screen when the news dropped, just so that I make sure to manage the trade the best way possible. So we were around here before the news, and at that time, when we broke out of this low, we had two possibilities. The first possibility was that this would simply be a correction and we would go more upside, or the other possibility was that this was actually planning a reversal pattern for either a short-term downside or a long-term downside. I'll not go into details of why those two are possible and how, but basically, as it stands right now, both are still possible. So, well, we already got the short-term downside, but the long-term downside is still a possibility. That's what it means. So when we broke out of this low, like I said, I did not close the trade, and the reason why is because we still had a possibility for more upside. Now, if we look back on the chart and see where is the last small correction that we had, well, we realized that it was right here. And so I did not want this to actually break the low of that correction. And the reason why it's because it creates a whole pattern here that we just had, and it's starting a new one, something bigger, either a reversal or a bigger pattern in the making. Those are the two possibilities that we have right now, and we knew that it would do that when we actually broke this low right here, which is when I decided to close the trade. So overall, that trade was really good, as you saw previously with the profits that I made on that trade. So that was a really good trade, and also very well managed, I would say. Once again, I don't think I could have managed that trade any better, because even looking back at it right now, I find it, that I managed the trade pretty well. So to basically just sum it up, here was the entry, here was the stop, the target was way above, and I basically closed the trade right here. So this is what I made basically on that trade, chart wise. So that is pretty much it for the analysis on Euro USD. So we saw the entry, the stop, the target, the analysis, and the explanation of how that trade actually evolved after taking it, and when and where I closed the trade. So that was the trade breakdown for the Euro USD trade. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, I hope that it helped you. If it did, please share it around with other traders, your friends as well, because if it helped you, then it's likely going to help another person. All right? So thank you so much for watching. Once again, take care, trade with care, manage your money well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.